Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is bumper build part 3. So the goal of today's episode is to finish the side irons. So we need to attach the side brackets to the irons themselves, make them look more like the originals. And got a couple extra pieces of 3/8 steel that we put together last night. So we can see, well, this one's a really good example. This is from over on the left side, and this is the one that got tweaked and pulled away, and it broke that weld out, and it was just enough to really get a good view of exactly how they put these together. So yeah, the side mounting brackets have to bridge the transition where that swale bump out starts, so they needed to put a filler block back there. And the way this one broke out, you can clearly see it was just a square block back there. That's the old weld line where it cracked. So we also have that pass-through hole to access the coolant drain, and of course that's the hole in the bottom where the actual coolant would actually run out, but the tap is accessed through there, and you can see we've got 3 layers. We have the side iron, we have that spacer block, and then we have the side brackets. So that's better than 1 inch of material all the way through. So that's going to be the last little accent that we're going to have to finish up. Well, these ended up being these spacer blocks, again 3/8 thick. We're 2 inches by 2 3/8, and it turns out they'll fit right in there just perfectly like that. So this one, I actually went and took that 1.5-inch hole saw and put the hole through it first, because we already have the hole in the side mounting bracket, and it's going to go together relatively like that. So if I would have put all 3 of those layers together and then tried to drill that hole all at once, that's asking a lot of a hole saw. So we've got it burned through that far anyhow. And yeah, everything's going to be a good fit. Looking at these now, if I were to do a set of these again, I would probably just make this one solid piece instead of having this long strip for the threaded holes and then that square plate. Of course, by looking at the original, that's exactly how we did it, or how they did it, just how we're doing it right here. But yeah, looking at that, to me that just gets a little bit redundant having to weld 4 different blocks in there. I think this would actually add a little bit more strength to where that actually swales out and has to stick forward. But it is what it is at this point. So let's get all this stuff mocked up. I'll show you another thing I did. I finally got smart. Couple days ago, I just abandoned like having to start bolts through the side brackets and through the belly pan mounting bracket on into the radiator support. I just cut a couple chunks of 1/2-inch threaded rod to have in there for studs. Makes it so much easier just to line all that stuff up and take it back off again. So old Squatch does learn. It takes him a little bit, but he will come around. We'll start by hanging both of the side mounting brackets. You can really see how this goes a long way toward protecting those cooler lines. Way better than those original one-piece side panels would have. Side irons now. Clamp them in place up here. We'll be readjusting, making sure everything is square and level and lined up before we go and tack anything. All right, I've just spent a few minutes making sure everything is leveled up, squared up, properly positioned. And one important thing, we go from that bottom front hole to the floor, 21 3/4 on center on each one of them. That's, yeah, you really want to make sure everything is good. Straight, level, and plumb in the front, 21 3/4 bottom hole on center. Otherwise, everything else we put on these brackets is going to have like a tilt or a cant or whatever. So yeah, this side's all squared up, leveled up as well. Let's tack them in. With the side brackets tacked in place, now we can throw those spacer blocks in that gap between them and the side irons. And yeah, we're just going to be loaded just enough they're going to hold themselves right in position, so it's going to be about right. Second block in too, you can see I've got both of the holes lined up already. It's held in there well, so yeah. Both of these pieces are technically ready to fully weld right now, but I think what I'm going to do, and I'll explain, I'm just going to tack this block in first to hold it in position, and this double layer is going to be a perfect guide for that 1.5" hole saw to take that the rest of the way through that side iron. And I want to do that before I fully weld everything, because I'm probably going to be okay if I don't, but I noticed from welding on these strips for the threaded holes that the heat from the welding actually hardened these a little bit. You could tell with the drill bit and with the tap, by the time you got through the back side of those, it was some pretty hard material. So I don't want to put so much heat into the side iron that I might make it more difficult for the hole saw. I've already asked quite a lot to that poor little 1.5". So yeah, this is a perfect guide for that, just to take it right on through. Yeah, we'll tack that block in and we'll finish drilling that out first. Had a guy in the comment section ask if that's a special hole saw. Should he be like getting one of those for himself? Do they really drill that fast? No, it's a regular old hole saw. It's probably so hot right now that, yeah, you don't really want to touch it. And the key to it is drilling 97% of the way through before you even turn the camera on. Works every time. Looks good. Yep, all the way through, 3 layers. Let's weld. Both started getting a bit hot on that one. Filling a lot of gaps there. Be good though. All right, everybody, there's the old, here's the new, patterned directly from those. And welding went pretty well. Once again, even right down to weld placement and distance and everything, I mimicked everything that was done to the originals. So it all turned out pretty well. Where the spacer blocks were up here, that got to be a pretty wide bead, but it all came in. So this side's about the same. It's all looking really good. Should be structurally sound. Liking what I'm seeing. Same for this side over here. So let's put them on one more time. And the fit is still just as it should be, nothing moved. So all the bolts line up. I love that offset. That came in just perfectly. Yeah, those cooler lines well protected. That's a pretty solid line of defense from tracks coming around and biting any of that. Everything too, nice and square. Everything is at the proper level yet, so we can bolt the bumper on there. It's not gonna be crooked. This side, just the same. Really nice offset right there. Really liking that square to the radiator shell. Good bump. Look at how well that drain tap line's in now. That's what I want right there. So yeah, I think honestly it was easier just to remake, especially this left side, rather than trying to repair that one that had been so damaged and broken. And yeah, we're lining in very, very well. Sure am happy with how that turned out. I'm gonna feel a lot better having some protection along each side of that engine and radiator. So, all right, side irons are complete. And next we're gonna move on to the two-piece engine side panels. After that, we'll start working on bumper brackets and bumper. But first, we have a bit of a changing of the guard. Coming back to Grandpa's old side irons one last time.